Yes, hanging in every art gallery around the Northeast and the Louvre. What a goal by Chris Rigg. And Regis Labrie has now got the same number of points and has half as many games as Michael Beale has. Welcome back to Where Black Cats Walk, where we review everything about Sunderland Football Club in 20 minutes. Forget your hour podcast, forget your hour and 30. All you need is 20 minutes listening to Dylan and friends throughout the season. Welcome to Where Black Cats Walk. Yes, it's Where Black Cats Walk. It's game week 6, and on this week's episode, we are getting a look back at that Boro game. We're going to grade right backs and the whole defence, and we're going to talk about Sacktober, as October's coming up, where most managerial sackings happens. And I can guess Dylan's answer to how secure is the gaffer. It's our monthly question, and we're going to put Dylan under the spotlight as well and find a little bit more about him and his allegiance to Sunderland. How are you, Dylan? Did you enjoy that one?
Oh, very much so. I mean, we're seeing on the last episode how important it was to bounce back with a win this weekend, and we went and did exactly that, and under some tough pressure at times, and really impressive performance.
Absolutely. And whilst Chris Rigg will get most of the headlines, it's another Chris I want to talk about in a second I thought was as equally impressive. But okay, let's start with the goal. Cheeky, wasn't it?
She was, for a 17-year-old to try and pull that out in a game, in a league game, outstanding. I mean, did really well. Everyone pressing, like my end in the build-up was really good. And then as we've been pressing high all season, just keep at them. Obviously, it's took the deflection, rolled across the box, and the confidence, in fact, the audacity for Rick to just flick that back with his heel and put it in the net. Absolutely outstanding. It just shows how confident he's getting the more games he's playing. We've got a really special player on our hands, like.
Yeah, this Sunderland team are quite likeable, aren't they, as well?
Oh,
Patrick Roberts aside, maybe, but yeah, they're playing with such confidence. And you contain Middlesbrough. I mean, Tommy Conway perhaps should have put that away, shouldn't he, in the first half? What did you think of the tackle on Latte Lath, which the Middlesbrough fans are getting a little bit uppity about?
well, I mean, if you'd called it a derby, I'd say that was a tackle worthy of a derby game. But no, it was, upon seeing it back, was very fortunate to not see red. Obviously, he slid in, his foot sort of bounced over the ball, so he's barely caught the ball, took the man. But I mean, a couple of seasons ago, Jay Clark-Salter nearly killed Adama Traore in a game against Boro and made him do a backflip. So Hughes made that look. That made Hughes look quite mild, to be honest. But I know he was definitely lucky to only see a yellow for that.
Oh, I'm glad you haven't got any red tinted glasses on there. All right, cool. Yeah, it looked a bad one, and I'm sure we'll never hear the end of that in terms of what Borough fans have to say. But yes, let's talk about the other Chris then, because Chris Mepham, I thought it was absolutely superb, and Twitter was full of other similar platitudes. LRM says, I must say, Mepham was absolutely superb on debut today, and Dominic Shaw and the Echo say that he's now got a bit of a dilemma at centre half on his hand for the next game because of his impressive debut. How impressed were you, Dylan?
Oh, he was absolutely brilliant. I mean, I'd said last week that whether Ballard was injured or not, I did see Mepham coming into the side. I think this was a perfect game to give him that chance, and he didn't put a foot wrong. He was absolutely outstanding. Never looked to be in any danger defensively from him. And as they said there, it is a dilemma, but it's a good dilemma to have. I said at the match, when we were absorbing pressure in the last 10 minutes, our defence is that good that we can afford to be subbing on a player like Dan Ballard with like 5 minutes to go. That just shows how good our centre-back options are when everybody's fit. I mean, Ballard's been our main centre-back for the past 2 seasons. He's had one poor game and we've been able to drop him out for someone who's played loads of Championship games, loads of Premier League games. And yeah, he was absolutely brilliant. So it's a dilemma, but it's certainly a good one to have, unlike recent years when we've been forced to shoehorn players in at centre-half. I mean, Luke O'Nine's ended up there permanently now, but he was a midfield and he was a right-back, and that's all come from players being injured and unavailable. So I'd rather have plenty in that position and have the headache of deciding which one to pick, to be honest.
Okay. Well, you can guess my next question then, can't you? So come on. Watford away. Does he keep his place?
He has to. I think You can't. If you can never change your defence has kept a clean sheet. And as I said, yeah, Ballard's outstanding. Had the poor game. He's dropped out the side, and maybe the good performance from Mepham at the weekend has got to show that no one's guaranteed a spot in this team. And I think that'll be good motivation for Ballard to earn his way back in the side. But 9, you can't drop. Obviously, he's been scoring. He's been scoring at both ends of the pitch. But yeah, I think you keep a winning defence the same until it stops winning, and then you maybe look at changing things. But we'll leave it as it is for next week.
All right. Okay, if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, please do so, and you can follow us on all your streaming services as well. Let's go through the rest of social media and what they had to say. This was interesting, which I said at the start. He's now Bris now won more points than Michael Beale in half of the games with almost the same team, and lots of people pointing out, Dylan, that his constant instructions to the team. With players coming over and asking for advice. This is something which I don't know why more managers don't do. You know, there's a player's gone down injured, or there's a free kick or something, and lots of people are saying tactically that the squad is unrecognisable to the one that finished last season. Yeah, your manager's pretty good so far.
Yeah, he's brilliant. As I said there, it's pretty much the same squad as last season. Almost entirely, and it's completely night and day in terms of performance. So it just goes to show how good the coaching setup we have at the moment is. And yeah, we've got Bris, he's doing outstanding. That you've got Mike Dodds, who, yes, we had a poor spell as the interim head coach last season, but his coaching record in terms of backroom staff has never been in doubt. He's always been very liked at the club. So I think now that he's managed to drop back into his initial role, he's getting back into the swing of things. If it's not Bris dishing out advice and instructions, it's Mike Dodds. Someone's always in the players' ears, and as you said, every time the ball's out of play and you can afford to, you get the likes of Luke O'Neill, the straight to the touchline, straight to talk to the manager, and it's all about just coaching them through the games to get the wins, and it's very refreshing from having Michael Beale blanking players as they were coming off, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. But we will stop mentioning Michael Beale at some point on this channel. Yeah. However, Stephen says, I wish he'd get them to stop taking short corners. Yeah. What is it with Sunderland and short corners? They seem to be the most ineffective part of your game.
Yeah, well, we do like a short corner, and I remember every so often the lad who sits next to me, as potato, will say, "Oh, I hate short corners," and a cross will go in from it and we'll score. That didn't work. It didn't work this weekend, but. I suppose, Boro as a team, they do have some physical players, some tall players. I suppose sometimes you've got to just work around the opposition. It's no point swinging balls in the box when there's going to be loads of units there ready to head it away. I trust the coaching staff, whatever they think the best approach is. I think that in terms of our set piece quality overall, it's skyrocketed how good we've been. We've scored goals from free kicks, balls coming in the box. And before this season, I couldn't even remember the last time I scored from a set piece, and it was like a half-decent goal. So they can do what they like as long as they keep getting the results.
Okay. And the last one, just to round off the weekend, Sunderland won, the Mags lost, Boro fans were rattled. Sunderland finest Josh Kelly won, and Chris Rigg scored. Some Saturday for the biggest club in the North East. I thought you'd like that one. I do want to ask you about the atmosphere at the Stadium of Light, though. Just on television, it seemed, I know it's an early kickoff, but it seemed a little bit flat until you scored. Is that becoming just the usual pattern at Stadium of Light? Will we get the crowds back, and will we get it louder, or is that unfair of me to point that out?
No, it's been a bit of a common theme in recent years, and I think the general consensus is that it's never quite been the same since the away fans got moved into the upper tier, because obviously our loudest stand is the Rover and the South stand, and then you've got the away fans North stand, upper tier, so they're far away from each other as possible, and I think that does affect the atmosphere probably. But before kick-off, we had the display that This Is Wayside put on. That was absolutely brilliant. Everyone really enjoyed that. Obviously, sing Wise Men Say before kick-off. But then, during the game, it does tend to fall a bit flat until we score. But then it goes to absolute pandemonium. It's proper. The place just goes electric every time we score. And I'm happy with that. As long as the people who are there are supporting the club, and we're getting good numbers. It's not the loudest ground, but we'll never claim that it is. Do you know what I mean? So it doesn't really bother me.
All right. Okay, let's complete our of all things defence-wise for Sunderland? All right, Dylan. So over the last 4 weeks or so, we've gone through goalkeepers, central defenders, left backs, and our final stop on the whistle stop tour of how good are Sunderland defensively. So look at the strength and depth in right backs. So Transfer Market here lists the following three. Where do you see right backs in terms of a problem position or a position you're happy with?
It becomes a problem position if Trey Hume gets injured. Touch wood, he won't, because if he's fit, he's good enough and physically capable to play every minute of every game in a full season, which he showed last year. He played almost every game. Then in a scenario where he's not available, at the moment, obviously, as it says there, would have Luke O'Nien shift over, I'd imagine, but then he's been doing so well at centre-half, you don't really want to have to move him over. Niall Huggins is due to not be back till about December, January time, but once he's back, if we can keep him fit, which is a big if, because it's like he's never been fit since he joined the club, he's outstanding. He's scored a great goal last season with a run he made from right back. So in terms of quality, it's good, but in terms of depth, lacking a bit. I think everyone was quite perplexed when we loaned out Pembele and then didn't bring somebody in. He's not on there, but I know at times Jensen Seals, who's also injured, did play right back last season. But not many people were too convinced by that. I like Seals. I think he's going to be a good defender, but he's a big, tall centre half. And then we had Luke O'Nien, who's had so many appearances at right back, still playing centre half. So if it gets to a point where you've got to be playing the likes of Jensen Seal, I would rather see someone like O'Nien shift over to the right and then have the big natural centre halves in the middle. But yeah, as I said, fingers crossed Trey Hume would just stay fit, because he's so reliable and he's been ever present since he broke into the sides. Took him a while to break in when we first signed him, but coming out of the Northern Ireland League, it's always going to be a step up. But yeah, I think we've got the best right back in the league there, and I don't think that's particularly outlandish to say. So keep him fit, and that position's locked down for ages.
All right, let's see how that pans out over a 46 game season. Okay. Now we've finished the defensive review. We'd like you to put in the comments below your grading out of 10 for how Sunderland now shape up. Season transfer window's closed now. So Dylan, what grading out of 10 do you give the whole back five in terms of strength and in terms of depth? Ignore what you've seen so far, because that could all change in an instant. Are you happy with it?
I'm really happy. I think in pretty much across the defence, when everybody's fit, we've got one of or the best player in that position in the league. I think after a full season, Dennis Cirkin will probably be in conversation being the best left back in the league. As I said, I already think Trey Hume's the best right back in the league. I mean, his tackling numbers last season were ridiculous. I'm pretty sure he was one of the highest tacklers in Europe, if not the highest. Centre backs, as I said there, we can afford to bring Dan Ballard off the bench this weekend, and that just goes to show how good our strength and depth is there. So when everybody's fit, I'd probably give it an 8 or a 9. It's never going to be a 10. Nothing's ever going to be perfect. But I mean, we've conceded, I think it's 4 goals this season, and 2 of them were own goals, and we've kept 4 clean sheets and 6. So I know, as you said there, I know it's early doors, but the results do speak for themselves. And minus that one slip up at Plymouth, we've looked so solid at the back, and that last 10 minutes against Boro at the weekend sort of reinforced that, because for so many years now, whenever Sunderland sit back and just absorb pressure, you sort of turn to each other and go, oh, here we go, we're conceding, and 9 times out of 10 we do. But I never really felt like we were going to concede this weekend, and I think that just shows how much better our defence has become.
Okay. All right. Do you agree with that? Drop it in the comments below. We're into October, nearly, and where most managers get the sack. I don't need to really ask this question, but how secure is this Sunderland manager's job currently at the moment?
Well, as you said there, you don't even need to ask it. He's locked in, but I think the really good thing about it as well is it's early days with him, but from what we've seen and the fact he's still relatively young and he's got time to improve and he's so tactically flexible, we've had for the past couple of seasons the likes of Tony Mowbray, who I absolutely love. I think he was excellent, but the general consensus there was if we got promoted to Tony Mowbray, you've then got to unfortunately pull the trigger on him and get someone in to bring us to the next level. Bris is the sort of coach who's so young and so promising that he could sort of grow with the club, and there's no reason why hopefully next season, but if not next season, in a couple of seasons' time, he can be managing us in the Premier League and helping us push on as much as possible. I don't think you can sort of put a ceiling on what we can achieve with him in terms of get promoted and establishing ourselves in the Prem.
All right. Yeah, just watch the vultures swoop if you do get to Christmas and you're running away with this league. You watch the Premier League managers.
Well,
Premier League
I'm getting concerned if they pull the trigger on Sean Dyche. He'll be the first name linked at best. Him and the West Brom manager will get linked if they pull the trigger on Sean Dyche. But I'll try not to panic because I think he's got a really good thing going here. And it's like we said the same thing about Jack Clark. He's left to go to the Premier League for a team who could potentially be coming down when he could be there in a year's time with us anyway. And I think the same thing goes for Liberty. So I think we should be fine. Touch wood.
All right. Okay, final bit then for you, Dylan. Quick fire questions. Find out a little bit more about you and your experiences with Sunderland. Let's get some background music on. Just to make this more like a game show. Tell us about your first ever Sunderland game. How old were you? What was the opponents? What was the score?
See, if I'm totally honest, I was quite young, and I think it was the league. We were playing Wigan, I believe, and I think I was gone before kick-off because the music started playing and I didn't like it. It was too loud and made me granddad take us home. I didn't properly start going to matches until I was about 15. I got into football quite late in terms of like proper following it. So it would have been the first season of the year we got relegated from the Championship. So it's been all downhill since then for me.
Who's your favourite player growing up?
Oh, I really loved Fabio Borini just for his passion, and he scored one of my favourite goals ever. It was a consolation that meant nothing, but he scored a goal on the volley with the outside of his foot against Man United, and it's one of the best goals I've ever seen a Sunderland player score. So Fabio Borini. Okay.
If Sunderland didn't exist, who would you support?
I could never support another team, but I've got a bit of a affinity for Norwegian football due to the friend I've got who's from there, and I like to go and watch Godset sometimes. Strom's Godset. I went to see the first game of the season in April, and I'll be going to the last home game of the season against Molde in December. So I'm going to say Strom's Godset.
All right, cool. Talk us through your match day routine briefly.
Up pub as early as possible. Probably I'll be out with a dad. Probably about 10, 11 o'clock if it's a 3 o'clock kick-off. And then depending on the score, either celebrate or drown my sorrows, and then come home, order a takeaway that I probably will regret having the morning after, and hopefully I don't have work the following day.
Brilliant. And finally, what's your best ever Sunderland game you've been to live that'll stay with you forever?
Oh, it's got to be the playoff final to come out of League One. I know it's the easy one to say, but it was just it. I don't want to sound disrespectful towards Wigan, but on the morning, I woke up and I knew we were going to win. So Embleton scored early doors. I was like, right, here we go. And then when Ross Stewart scored the second, I think that's when you knew we were going up, and I was crying my eyes out. Like, so I'm going to say that game.
Okay. All right. Cheers for that. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much for joining us this week. We've got Watford away to look forward to this weekend. A bit of a tricky one that they've started well at home. What's your prediction for that one?
As you said, they've looked all right at home, but I don't fear any team in this league. To be honest, and I'm not trying to sound arrogant. I just think it is so they're for the taking this year. West Brom look really good, but other than that, I don't find any other team particularly intimidating. I think on our day we'll beat anybody in this league. So I'm going to say, we're going to beat 2-0.
Amazing. All right. If you haven't yet done so, please do subscribe, and we will see you next week. Don't forget, 20-minute podcast, the only 20-minute podcast covering Sunderland. Others are great content, but they're an hour. You haven't got time for that. Listen to us every single week. New episodes every Monday at 6. Thank you very much, Dylan, for joining us on Where Black Cats Walk. We'll see you next week. Thank you for joining us.